It wasn't an airplane. It was not an airplane. It was down awfully low.
You're listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast with your hosts, Ash Ellis and Greg Tomlinson.
Hey Ash, how's it going?
Very well, very well. How are you doing today?
Very good, very good. Yeah, the weather's getting better now, so...
It's mad. It's like absolutely freezing in the morning, and it goes really bloody hot in the day, and then freezing at night. It's like you can't really... I had literally died in my car the other morning going to work. And in the day, I had to walk to the side of the office. There's bloody sweltering. In the sun at night, I had to bloody dressing gown on because it was that cold.
It's, yeah, I saw a meme, and it was like 8 o'clock in the UK, like somebody got a thick coat on, and then it said like 2:30 in the afternoon, they got a t-shirt and an ice cream. And this is exactly how it's awful at the moment. Like, it's great, but I don't know what's happening. Very weird, very weird. So what have you been up to? Anything exciting, Ash?
No, I spent the day in Oxford. Around there, Oxfordshire, the other day,
Yes.
Visiting a few places.
Yes. We went to Devil's Quoits.
We did.
Which is very interesting. And
Minster
Lovell Ruins.
I said it back because I want to. Yeah, Minster Lovell.
Yeah,
this is cool. I mean, how old was that? It's like 1,000.
That was about 1,000 years, and then the Devil's Quoits is 5,000 years.
Mad.
That's fucking mental, isn't it? Just to considering we're in the year 2000, so that's 3,000 BC or BCE, as it is nowadays. But yeah, it's a strange old place down there because, as you know now, it's sort of like off the beaten track, and then it's just like through some woods down this little path, and then it's just this random heritage type site. It's just...
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I was trying to imagine like what it would have been like 5,000 years ago.
Wow.
Like, what did they live in huts? What
I don't even know. I don't even know what they lived like back then, but they must have been fairly, I say, advanced, because there was a society there, because they've built this thing, and the photographs. There's no photographs, but the pictures that the depiction that was on that plaque thing was like, it showed some kind of settlement. So yeah, it's quite interesting. It was quite interesting, and we'll have to go back at night.
Definitely.
And you saw the weird cross in the sticks. That was the most random thing. And if you watched the live, it was freaky as hell. It just turned around. It was probably there before. We just didn't notice it at all. And then all of a sudden, poof, there's this fucking weird Blair Witch moment going down in the middle of the dark.
Cross.
And it's quite an isolated place as well. And there's just me and Sarah just going...
So we went on a weekend. It was sunny, middle of the day, and there's nobody there.
It was just us, wasn't it?
Nobody about. You think people go for take the dog for a walk or hang out, whatever, but it's completely empty. Just us.
Nothing at all. But then when we went to Minster Lovell, there was a lot of people there, wasn't there? So yeah, it was busy. But that's quite a cool place at night. It's quite a cool place at night. But then in the summer, at night, you get people do go down there, like teenagers and that in their cars, just go down there and then park up and just probably go and smoke weed and shit down there, I expect. But,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've tried to do an investigation down there before, and there is interference from outside people. Not in a bad way. There are people there. So
Yeah.
It's a bit of a challenge. Incidentally, it's where I first met Mike Earl and Patsy.
Power Mike.
Yeah.
Now
blast from the
retired.
past.
Power Mike.
Yeah. Gutted. But yeah, so we did have a bit of a whistle-stop tour of West Oxfordshire.
He's very nice. First time in Oxfordshire, so yeah.
It's nice down there. It's nice.
Cool.
When the weather's nice, it's nice. Yeah. So tonight's episode. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about challenging the assumptions in the paranormal, and we talked around a few different ideas that side. Tonight, we're going to talk about challenging some of the assumptions on UFOs or UAPs, as they're now called.
Yeah.
So, got a few assumptions to cover off. So I reckon we just go through them, see what we think, and give our thoughts on them. So, first assumption: the government knows more than it's letting on. I think that's an assumption that everybody holds true, don't we? That they definitely know more than they're letting on. So the pushback on that is that this assumes a level of competence, secrecy, and coordination that governments rarely exhibit. Think about historical leaks, Watergate, Snowden, Pentagon Papers. If the US had undeniable evidence of extraterrestrial craft or non-human intelligence, it's unlikely they could maintain absolute control over it for decades. What do you reckon to that?
Yeah, I mean, it could just be that they don't know anything. They don't know what these things are. They've had all these studies going back to the 50s. With Project Sign and Grudge and Blue Book and coming out to OSAP and Arrow and these most recent ones that are going on today. It could just be that they know nothing. They know these things are there. They have come out and said a few years ago. Had this April, was it April 2020?
Yeah,
April 21, when he actually came out and said the words UFOs are real. Like the US government said that. But actually, had sort of saying that for the first time, like ever. But it could be that they've investigated it, but they don't actually know more than what they tell us. We have these whistleblowers that seem to come out all kind of saying the same story. Is the truth to what they're saying? I mean, kind of like it says about leaks and would they have been able to keep it under control all this time? There has been a couple whistleblowers, but nothing like major. Like with the Snowden, the hacking and releasing of all their files, there's nothing in there. Like you think there would have been something. So
what about Gary McKinnon? What are your thoughts on that? Because he claims to have got into like the military computers and NASA computers and whatever, and hacked in. UK guy, and claims to have seen stuff, but no evidence. Again, is it an open secret? Maybe in the government.
Was that the one with? Obviously, stuff that you talked about. Was that one where they had like terrestrial captain or something? It was the like the ranks and stuff. So is that like say there's a terrestrial captain? Does that mean there's a like extraterrestrial or whatever? Or that's kind of interesting. But again, still, like we talked about on the UAP roundtable last week, and like we have done quite a lot over the past years. Nothing. There's never any evidence to go with this. It's always hearsay. It's always people's word for it. There's never that actual bit of proof to go with any of this. And it's just, we assume the government knows stuff. It could just be money. Like we alluded to in the past, it's like, if the government says that there's things in the sky that they don't know about, then we're going to need to up our defence spending. We need to create these programs, we need to work with Boeing or Lockheed Martin, these people to build defences against them. Could be nothing to build defences against. It's just they can say this just to build up the budgets to the ridiculous amount of money the US spends on defence spending. Is it just because of that?
Because they can push money into black budgets for anything because they don't have to account for it. They just goes, oh, it's just gone there. Don't worry about it.
National security.
It's national security.
Can't tell you.
But I think the way they do it, if they do know more than they're letting on, is they compartmentalize everything, and it's the same as like Bob Lazar was saying when he was at Area 51 and he was working, and that you would work on one particular thing, but you wouldn't know what the guy in the next room was working on. You'd just work on your thing. So although you knew what your bit did, you didn't know what the bigger picture was, and only certain higher ranking people knew what the big picture was. And that way you can, if somebody leaks something, what are they doing? They're leaking maybe some little bit of tech that they're working on. So if they compartmentalize all these secrets, like people know certain things, but everybody knows different things, rather than, so nobody knows the big thing, like the whole. What's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody comes out and you go, they're a bit loopy, mate. Don't worry about them.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, that I guess that's more in the sort of broader general sense of, like say, doing the research or doing whatever. When it comes to things like crash retrieval, which is kind of the big thing, so there's been this crash retrieval teams and this. When people talk about cases that have had potential UFO crashes in all parts of the world, so it's like big military response. They closed off all the roads. They build, in one case, building the building around a UFO. In that one, they claimed that was the location of a crash UFO.
Yeah,
them things must have a lot of people involved in that. Like if you're building something around the crash UFO, and then obviously having the military guard in it or moving the pieces of it, stuff like that, there's going to be surely going to be a lot of people that will have seen or know that this is something dodgy. They don't know exactly, but they'll be like, this is something really dodgy. Not all of them is going to be like keeping stum. Because a lot of these will be sort of lower level. These aren't going to be the kind of high up senior intelligence. These are going to be kind of the worker bees, kind of soldiers and building like the mechanics or whatever in the army. These aren't going to be high up. So there'll be so many there, but none of them have ever kind of come forward and said I was involved in this crash retrieval team, or even in, because they respond quickly. Sometimes to these things, it's like, how have you got whole vehicles and lorries and everything to these locations so fast? Like there's got to be a lot more people involved in these types of retrievals. It's not going to be like a group of 4 under cover of darkness go and sweep up this machine and take it back to a secret. Like surely they can't. That wouldn't work like that. It would be a bigger scale operation. And to be able to keep locals out, to keep local news out, to keep other people away, to not be able to see what's going on. Because you know for sure, you hear something or see something crashing, there's going to be people going towards it. And to be able to quickly get there and stop them, like maybe the local police force or local sheriffs, whatever, they're also now involved in keeping people away from these locations. FBI potentially, if they're got whatever, or state troopers, whatever. So you think there's got to be all these different people involved in a crash retrieval. So are all of them going to be keeping this stuff tight-lipped for all these years, for literally, 80, 70 years since Roswell? I guess how many years it is now.
But then you got like Virginia, and like they're saying that like there's all these people, military people involved. Why is there not more people come out about that? It's only the locals that have really properly said stuff.
Was it the fireman? Was it a fireman?
Yeah.
Like one of the doctors that was a fireman that sort of grabbed the creature and not getting ill from it, and then the doctors that said they worked at the hospital, wherever they went to.
But there must have been so many people involved. That's the thing. Like you say, it's I don't know.
So the crash itself was at a different part to where the alien creature was as well. Yeah,
it's actually one of the most believable ones that especially when you listen to watch the James. Is it James?
Moment of Contact.
James Fox one, that which I thought was really good. And you just think, how does that become secret? Do you know what I mean? How did there was obviously a lot of people involved. I don't know. But then I suppose people sign these oaths as part of their like the Secrecy Act and stuff like that, and some people just take it. They take it. They swear to secrecy because that's defending their country.
But I suppose with the Virginia, like just the US came and kind of took over it.
They did,
from the Brazilians. If I was like one of the Brazilians, I'd be like, I'm a bit pissed off. You've like, so they're gonna go tell the fucking world what's. I don't know.
It's just weird. I don't know. So then you've got on the back of that assumption, you've got confirmation bias, which is what we were talking about with the paranormal. Is you're selectively focusing on secrecy that aligns with your belief. So while ignoring bureaucratic inefficiencies that make such large-scale cover-ups improbable, which is true. It's like, are they really that good of a government, like an agency, the government as a whole? You only have to see in the state of the country here where MPs are like fiddling fucking taxes and expenses and buying iPads for their own family on expenses and that. You go, really? Are you that fucking clever enough to cover up what essentially is world-changing events? I don't know. And then you push out people like, not stooges, that's the wrong word, but these people, which we'll come on to later, like Lou Elizondo, David Grusch, Ryan Graves, all these people that, David Fravor, all these kind of people that can back it up, but there's always something that they're not quite saying because of the Official Secrets Act. And like David Grusch says, I can't say publicly. And he's like, oh, and Lou Elizondo, I can't say public. Oh, just like, but then it gets people like us in the, I say us in the community, but the UFO community, you go, well, are you just stringing along so you get all these talks for the rest of your life? You can release books every now and again and be like certain people that will regurgitate the same UFO event or alien event over and over for the rest of your life.
Talk of conferences for the next 50 years.
Exactly. But because people are interested in it, but so you just leave every now and again, you just drop an extra little nugget that weirdly you haven't brought up before. And you just think, at that point, are you a government disinformation agent or are you just fucking playing the game now? Probably the latter. But.
Like Rendlesham, like certain people involved in the Rendlesham case, it's like 20 years after it, something else comes out, and now 40 years after it, now new information. Like, how can there be new information 45 years after?
Yeah.
Like,
why are you not saying it at the time?
Yeah, how can we know that this is now true? Like, what? It's just, Then you get actual disinformation agents, like the likes of Richard Doty and stuff like that, where they're purposely put in there to stir the pot, to muddy the pot, and sort of take that hit kind of thing.
I think it's perfect in a way because you can put these. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but you can put people out into the theatre, as it were, because nobody knows the full truth. Anything they're saying could be the truth or it could be a lie. So it just, like you say, muddies the water is a really good term because it's just like, what is truth? What is the truth? Nobody knows. Somebody does, I'm sure, but So an alternative view then. What if UFO secrecy is just bureaucratic inertia? What if these programs are classified not because of aliens, but because they reveal embarrassing military failures, illegal research, or experimental tech that rivals don't have yet? So the experimental tech, this is what really gets me. I'm like, if it was experimental tech that's ours or adversarial tech, why are they not using it to win wars instantly? That's what I don't get. Why is that? So if Russia or China had these game-changing tech, why has the war in Ukraine gone on for 3 years now? And they're using handheld fucking drones. Do you know what I mean? Off-the-shelf drones. It's like, surely if we've got this, or if they've got this tech, why are you not just taking over the whole world? It just doesn't. It strikes me as that's what some nut job would do as a leader. But to my mind, the illegal research and the military failures could be a good way of looking at it. We don't know what's in the sky. Whatever it is acting with impunity. We can't defend against it. We can't even shoot it down. There's history where people, like pilots, have gone up near them and like died or disappeared or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know.
And like, you don't know if like some of these sort of people involved in these departments or whatever, especially the ones that have had no like sort of congressional oversight, so they can do what they want with the money. Basically, there could be high levels of fraud and stuff going on.
Oh yeah,
They're creating companies that the US government's spending to contract into research, and it's just them basically doing this so-called research and stuff. So like the amount of millions that have been spent, and what have they actually kind of got that they don't tell us anything. I say with the why none of it been leaked. Surely it is that much that's spent that much money on. They must have that much information. Why is there not more leaks, more substantial leaks, documents and stuff that we just never ever had?
I think the illegal activity and like just government contracts and the way they do those. I don't know if you've seen that Jonah Hill film. I can't remember what it's called now. War Dogs, where they sort of like stumble upon a government, like this website that you can go on and bid for government contracts. They're just like these lads, and then they start bidding on contracts and winning, and then like the next half of the film, they're like dealing arms in some foreign adversarial country, like completely out of their depth, but making millions on. It's based on a true story. It's a very good film. If you watch it, it's really good. And yeah, they sort of like stumble upon it, but there's so much money to be made that the people are in on it because there's all this black project money that they just contract it out, and then they lose all responsibility. The government does. They just go, it wasn't our problem, type thing. So I don't know. It's a good thought. I think the fact that they don't want us to know is likely because they've got no way of combating whatever this thing is. Potentially, I think that's where I'm going down the route, that this government non-disclosure is because if they told us that they don't know anything, which it almost is getting to that point now. Like David Grusch comes out and says, I've seen all this tech. Ryan Graves says we've upgraded the radars on the fighters. Then the next minute, every day we're seeing these things in like the practice theatres in the air. And then David Fravor saying this Tic Tac thing just literally went from space to sea level in a second, and went to all their rendezvous points without us even publishing where it is. The government don't want us to know that we can't defend against stuff like that.
Yeah, and I suppose that kind of leads on nicely to the next assumption, which is that the UFO phenomenon suggests non-human intelligence, which is a kind of a new term. Kind of moved away from that whole extraterrestrial alien, because the US government purposely made it so you think of little green men and aliens in space. So with UAP, with UFO, non-human intelligence, it's just a new word for that, basically extraterrestrial. Or, well, in a way, obviously we're saying we don't know what this intelligence is. It's just not us.
Yes.
But just because we don't know what it is, like, so the assumption is that if we don't know what it is, it's non-human intelligence. So you talk about the Tic Tac and the technology and stuff, but like you said, it only started seeing these things with Ryan Graves when they upgraded the technology. So is it just something that's beyond our understanding that we will, in 50 years, be like, oh yeah, that's just we know what it is. It's just normal.
But I think, is it just a natural phenomena that we just don't understand? For example, so you've got ball lightning, the Hastalan lights, for example. You've got all these weird lights appearing in the sky for decades, every day, witnessed, videoed, photographed. Nobody knows what it is. Would you say it doesn't appear to have any intelligence? It's just a phenomena. But what if these things are just a phenomena? They are an intelligence. They're non-humans, so they tick that box. And like you say, it gets away from the alien thing and the ET. UFOs change from unidentified flying object to unidentified anomalous phenomena, which covers the fact that they don't know what the fuck it is, basically. So that's what we don't know. It's an object. It might not be an object. It might be anything. Because technically, you've got an orb, which has been witnessed at Skinwalker Ranch and stuff. Technically, they're UAP because they're an unidentified anomalous phenomena. So it almost bridges the paranormal. And you could say a ghost is an unidentified aerial anomalous phenomena because you don't know what it is. So one of the pushbacks is, why must unidentified equal non-human? This is a leap. Our ability to explain something today doesn't mean it originates outside Earth, which is true. Which is the whole thing about UAP from UFO. UFO was seen as like space aliens, and at least now with UAP, there is talk that they might just be from Earth. And my belief is they're probably from an Earth, whether it's this Earth or another dimensional Earth or the future Earth or what, I don't know. But it's probably more likely that than they've come across space and time. I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause there's just so much on this planet that we just do not know, that we don't understand, that physics can't explain. Just our level of intelligence just isn't there. Like, for example, and I don't get probably hate from a lot of pet owners and dog owners, but like a lot of people.
Did you hear that?
A dog just barked. That's crazy. It knows what I'm going to say.
So where I live, the lady's got a dog, and it literally just barked at the time you just said that.
Wow,
that couldn't have been better timing.
Wow, that's mad.
He's an intelligent dog, to be fair.
So, God,
got to leave that in.
Yeah, no, we leave that in. That's affecting my train of thought now. So, dog owners and pet owners, they assign a lot of human emotions to the pets. And emotional intelligence to pets that they just don't have, that the brains aren't wired the same way that we are. And it's like, oh, my dog is sad because it's Tuesday and not done this, and Emmerdale's not on, so he's missing Emmerdale. It's like, no, the dogs don't have that. You're projecting human emotions onto dogs, and dogs are very simple. I mean, intelligent, very clever. I mean, I'm a dog lover. Very, very, very intelligent, protective, loyal. Lots and lots of good and intelligence, but the emotion side of things that we project as humans onto him, because that's all we know. It's similar to Pareidolia, where we're looking for that human element in things to make it like sort of relatable, and we do that with our pets, and we're doing it here with stuff that we think we can't explain it, so it can't be human. You know what I mean? Because I don't understand it. Means oh, not me, but the scientific community, whoever can't understand this, so it must be non-human. Whereas we're just kind of not looking at the bigger picture, where stop projecting our current knowledge is what I'm trying to say.
I think everybody, like, going back to the dog thing, because I've got dogs, and you just think, oh, they must be thinking that, and it's just like, they don't even speak the same language as us. They don't understand us. They just learn the word, learn the sounds. So, like you say, and I just think, I do have these conversations with myself a lot. It's like, what is going on in the dog's head? What language is it even thinking in? Does it think? Or just does it react to emotions? Like, it hears, say, the fridge open. It doesn't think to itself, oh, I'm going to see what's to eat. It goes, that sound means there's food coming.
Yeah. Stomachs, you send the signal to the dog's stomach.
But then I'm thinking, but what is the dog thinking that in its head? It obviously doesn't think in English, or even in human, how is it even communicating with other dogs? Like they bark and stuff, and it's like, what? So I go down some deep rabbit holes just thinking about what my dog's thinking about.
That was kind of a better way of saying what I was trying to say. I think I probably completely mishapped
No, you
my
said it right.
explanation.
But it's true. You project what you believe a human emotion is on that dog. So that dog's giving you the puppy dog eyes because it's like it's a bit sad and that. No, it's been programmed over thousands of years that if it does that, you'll give into it and you'll give it a treat. Dogs, they are fairly dumb compared to a human, but they're aware of different reactions that they can get out of a human by giving like the little puppy dog eyes. They go, and you go, oh, go on and have this bit of cheese, you fat little fucker. But do you know what I mean? It is, they're bred like that. They know what to do because it's just genetics. But
like parrots and other mimicking birds and stuff, where they're not actually talking to you; they just learn, they're just repeating back like what you said to them. Or no, you say this word, they say this, they make this noise back. They don't actually know what it means. They're just saying back because they've been trained to say that sound, make that sound back to them. They have no idea what they're actually doing.
Exactly.
So I make this noise, I get a treat.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I make this noise. The owner's happy. I get a treat. So I don't really know how we got to this or how we loop it back. But I think that we assign too much of the whole non-human intelligence on what we believe intelligence is.
Yeah.
And I think so for example, an octopus we class as sentient, so it's got an intelligence, and they are super intelligent at problem solving and can change color and all this kind of weird shit. But how intelligent actually are they? Are they just programmed? We assign too much of our own human intelligence on what a non-human intelligence is, I think. I think.
That's kind of it. And if we, like I say, we sort of put that towards where these things are in the sky, we're looking at it from a human perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
But we don't have that level of understanding. So like, it's so hard trying to actually explain what I'm thinking. I think that's the general gist of it is we're applying human thoughts and intelligence, something that isn't, that's beyond our intelligence.
Yeah.
I guess with space itself, trying to just comprehend how big it is, you cannot comprehend. And like, I was reading something the other day, and it was like the size of I think it was a marble or something like that, or a small apple, something around that size. Was like halfway between the size of like an atom and the size of the universe or something stupid. Like that's what the halfway point was. It's like how. Like that's just, you just cannot physically comprehend it. So we can't apply logic to our understanding of the universe because it's just beyond what we can think of. So anything that is unknown or unidentified, we're applying that same sort of thinking to it when we just can't.
Yeah,
we kind of have to maybe just have to accept that we don't know.
Yeah,
we just don't know, and we're never going to know. That could be the kind of the be all and end all of it. Is this phenomena? We'll never know. No matter how many programs, how many civilian programs, how much research, how much investigation, how much money is spent, we're just never going to know.
And that comes back to, it's an anthropocentric bias, which is essentially what we've said, that we are assuming intelligence must be something other when it could be something more mundane. It could just be natural phenomena for all we know, but we just don't know it.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're throwing all this money, these special programs at it, and essentially there's no point.
Could be.
So an alternative view then, what if some sightings are psyops? Foreign adversaries testing experimental aircraft or aerospace tech while fueling UFO or UAP speculation as a smokescreen. What if some are mass psychological phenomena? Which it's essentially, I can't get my head around the adversarial tech. I can't even think that that's a thing.
No, definitely. Like you said, if they had it, why did they not use it?
Yeah.
I won't talk about it too much, but it's a good example. The drones over New Jersey and the rest of the US and parts of the UK is a good example of both letting them think it's UFO.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps them away from what it actually is. Let people talk about aliens and stuff. We're here testing our technology. Let them think it's aliens. It helps us. And also mass psychological phenomena, mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
People say think it's lights as mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a true thing. We had Christian
Yeah.
Lander on the show
Yes,
a few years back.
Blimey, it was right in the early days, wasn't it?
That was like a show, like a school fair thing right in the field, and all these kids got ill and stuff. But it was literally like there's no explanation for it. And they say it was like it literally mass hysteria, where one kid got ill and then others saw it and then they got ill and then more people started getting ill and they weren't actually ill. It was just this psychological thing. And it is a true psychological happening. It does happen. Yeah. So with these drones, we saw it go crazy for a few weeks where every single thing in the sky is now a drone. Everyone's seeing these things. It could just be mass hysteria all over the country, all over the world. Once it's in your psyche and you're thinking about it, you could then start seeing it because you're thinking about it. It's up there.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, that thing in the sky is a drone now, rather than a microlight or an airplane or whatever. So, yeah, interesting. So, right, the next assumption then: eyewitness testimonies, even from pilots, are highly credible. So the pushback on that, I mean, you'd say that in UFO cases that if a policeman reported it, or a jet fighter pilot, Ryan Graves, Dave Fravor, all those kind of people report it, how are they any more credible than me or you? Because the human psyche, the human brain and recollection is actually very poor. Being an eyewitness account is rubbish because you're easily influenced. You can't remember things properly, and then your brain's thinking about the last time you remembered it. So it's not necessarily remembering the actual incident. It's remembering the last time you remembered the incident. So almost like your brain's doing Chinese whispers on itself.
Yeah.
So the pushback is human perception is flawed. Even trained pilots and military personnel misidentify objects. The brain is hardwired to recognize patterns, which you mentioned a little bit earlier, often seeing structure where there is none, which is exactly how the SLS works under Microsoft Connect, basically.
God, yeah.
It looks for patterns. It's programmed to look for a human-looking shape. And our brains look for faces. You mentioned earlier about looking for faces. People see patterns. Your brain is looking out for something. I will see Jesus's face on a bit of toast because it slightly resembles a human face. And my brain's gone, I see it now. It's almost like telling someone what an EVP is before they've heard it and then they hear exactly what you told them.
Yeah. And these like pilots and police officers stuff, like they're not infallible. They seem to have this kind of godlike status where he was a experienced fighter, Top Gun pilot, whatever. He knows what's in the sky. He's seen everything. If he says it's something not normal, then it must be something not normal. Like you say, they're not infallible, and the human brain, like you say, isn't always totally accurate. They would definitely have more observational skills. They are trained to be observant more. Like police officers, when they're writing a statement, they'll include probably 10 times the amount of detail as me and you would in a statement because they know they will notice things more. They will take into account more different things.
Yeah.
But it's still a human. You have two police officer statements that are completely different to each other to the same event. And it's just, we get it with ours. Like when we get a report to us, UFO identified from a police officer or from a pilot, which we've had a number of, you go, oh, okay. It does add that bit more to it. Okay, we've got a professional person. It doesn't mean this case is any more important or potentially a better case than someone who works at Tesco, something's reported to us.
Yeah.
But it does make you think that little bit of maybe unconsciously, oh, okay, we got a professional observer or whatever here who's been trained to be able to know what he's looking at and be able to explain things fully. So I'll probably get what we can see in them cases is we'd get more detail. It obviously just helps the case better. So maybe it's easier to investigate that case just because we've got a lot more detail initially provided by the witness, rather than we get a lot of cases where it's literally, I saw a UFO over the houses on this street. I'm like, okay, what does a UFO mean? Like, what? Whereas another description would be 10 paragraphs long. It's got full descriptions of its movement, of its description, of its sound, everything. And that's, I mean, I can go back to that first witness and contact him and I get more details from him eventually.
Yeah.
But when they submit a report, which is basically one sentence saying they saw a UFO, like, what shape was it? What, I didn't know it was a UFO. So I guess on that side of things, you will get a bit more thingy, but people do hold it in too much of a high regard. And you see, and there's sort of that shift over recent years to those type of people. And it's like, oh, he's an intelligence officer. He must know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But not if his work's been in, I don't know, terrorist groups for the past 30 years. What's he going to know about space or flying craft? You know what I mean? So I think it's just about not thinking that there's nothing wrong in these reports. That's all going to be, got to take everything said as kind of gospel. Still got to be challenging more than I think what some people do. Some people just say military pilot or jet pilot or intelligence, senior intelligence officer, and just make him a demigod, basically.
Yeah, and it's that covers off basically the cognitive bias is authority bias. So you just perfectly talked about that. So what about an alternative view that high altitude weather phenomena, classified tech, I still fucking hate that classified tech thing, or sensor errors are more likely than aliens, which probably. Pilots aren't immune to optical illusions or military disinformation campaigns. And I think the military disinformation campaign is a massive thing because it's perfect. Like you mentioned about the drones, let people think it's one thing when it might be something else because it's perfect. Because you're looking over there while we're over there type thing. It's, I still don't like this military tech thing. It really, I just can't get my head around it. Definitely not adversarial tech. I can't believe that for 1 second. I don't know what that makes me, but I just think if it's adversarial tech, they'd be using it against us. Why would they not? It just baffles me. It baffles me. I just think we don't know. As a world, we don't know. And nobody really knows. They've got ideas, but I don't know. But I think that one's a really good one. The eyewitness testimony, because some people probably don't say anything because they go, "Oh, that detail wasn't important." And even like in murder cases and police cases, even 20 years later, somebody goes, "Oh, I do remember seeing somebody walking down the street wearing something like that on that particular day." So, what the fuck have you waited 20 years to tell somebody that? Or have you just made it up? Or are you just thinking you remembered that? I don't know. But then you talked about the Rendlesham. For me, the voice recording of Charles Holt, that's the key to the validity of it. But we don't see that in other cases. The Virginia one, there's a lot of evidence that happened. And I believe something like what they're saying actually happened is very compelling. Same with Rendlesham. I can't believe it was anything other than some weird shit was going down in our woods, because that voice recording from Charles Holt and his crew that went out there is, I can't see anything other than that being what actually took place for them. That's what took place for them, which is another thing entirely. and that personal experience. But then you get people who haven't got that kind of evidence. There's no radar data, and you're literally having to rely on what they've said. And I know we talk about it in the paranormal, and it's a personal experience. That person knows or believes that what happened to them actually happened. It's possible it didn't, and something else has happened, but that personal experience, I don't think you can take away from someone. But whether they're a good eyewitness, I don't know.
Like you say, Rendlesham, that happened to them. They had an experience they couldn't explain. You could tell in the voice called the fear and the uncertainty, and they saw something they didn't know what it was. That doesn't mean it was non-human. Doesn't mean it was alien. Doesn't mean it was
Exactly.
UFO. That craft that they saw, which went through the trees. Obviously, there's evidence on the trees and stuff as well. That did lift off, went through the woods. That could have been some early tech being tested by the Americans or tested by the British on the Americans. It's our airbase. Well, it's on our land. Their airbase on our land. So it could have been us testing it on like a live test because they don't know what they're going into. So they've had an unexplained experience, but it's just unexplained to them. And just because they were soldiers, and there's like Charles Holt, the base commander, doesn't mean that it had to be something completely abnormal. It could just be, yeah, he's high ranking, he's obviously very intelligent and knows what he's talking about. But that doesn't make it any more credible than if I was to go see something explained and describe the exact same thing happening to me with mates in the woods.
Yep.
But people do lend more credibility to it just because of who they are.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, next one. This is interesting. The Tic Tac and gimbal videos show advanced non-human craft. So that's the assumption. And what we're seeing is that. And I mean, the Tic Tac, and if you take David Fravor's version of what he saw as well, then you'd have to say that it does show some kind of advanced craft. So the pushback would be that the most cited videos are Tic Tac, the gimbal, and the Go Fast, which I think are probably the three most famous UFO videos over the last sort of probably 20 years, I would imagine. Are ambiguous at best. And when you watch them, you go, it's not actually groundbreaking. I haven't got this HD version of like a photograph that's been taken like we've seen, and the name escapes me. Nick Pope had the picture on his wall. Calvine photo, yeah. So there isn't a video. Those FLIR videos don't show anything like that Calvine photo shows. I mean, people still argue about that, I know, but there's no the FLIR, the gimbal stuff where it tilts and looking at it from what I'm seeing, it could literally be anything. I don't know what I'm looking at. And I know black's probably hot or white's hot. It depends on what the setup is. But you just see this object, something happens to it, and the pilots are making some excited remarks about it. But I don't know. They're good videos, but what do they show me? They don't show me anything really.
Like the FLIR videos, so and the average person you don't know what you're looking at. It's not like you're not looking at a normal video recording, and the movements it's making aren't the movements it's actually taking. It's the way the plane is moving, not the object that it's looking at because it's locked on. It's so it looks great to me and you. Obviously, like say the pilots as well, but it's not like it's hard to really assess what we're looking at. Like with the one from South America, not Pascagoula. Why did I got Pascagoula in the similar, very similar type of video. It shows this object coming out of the water and flying around and stuff and moving fast. Again, but it's filmed in infrared, so it's not a normal video footage. It's not like you're going to film it with your phone or camera. the whole way it films is completely different to what you're used to. And it could be look like it's moving fast, but it's actually stationary.
Mm-hmm.
It's the camera that's moving. So it's I mean, those videos, obviously, that's what these videos are the ones that kind of pushed UFO a lot more mainstream over the past few years. And again, could be one of those that we'll never know what it is. And I mean, the cognitive bias with this one is, again, you want it to be UFOs, you want it to be alien, you want it to be something non-human. I get called like a skeptic, debunker, all sorts, because I'll say what it is or what I believe it to be. So I want nothing more than someone to show me a video or a picture that is actually like some kind of proof. That's what we're in it for. Like we want it. We want to take that video to be the video, but it just isn't. It's
like I've got that bias because I sent you a picture yesterday of a photo that I took at Minster Level Hall, and all I got back on the message was, I'm like, it looks like a person with wings. It does look like a person with wings. When I show the zoomed out version, it does. Like I followed up and said, it is likely to be a bug. I get that, but it looks cool. And then you bring me down to earth again, and I'm like, okay.
It was an interesting photo. Was I at work at the time? So it was kind of like, I wouldn't have bought as much as I would have done.
I got the exact response that I expected from you. Just got. It's funny. But it is. People want something more exciting, but unfortunately, most of the time it's not. So, an alternative view that these could be tests of next-gen propulsion systems. The most logical conclusion that they're either black projects or adversarial drones.
Again,
that's an assumption, and I dislike it. Black projects maybe, but adversarial tech I don't buy at all. So next one then is the assumption that the public would be ready for disclosure. I think based on just that assumption, I think the world is better placed now for a disclosure because it's quite mainstream now. I know you could look back and say the 50s, everybody was scared to death of UFOs because these things were coming down, invaders from Mars, sucking people's brains, killing people, I watched a really horrifying black and white film. I think it was like invaders from Mars or something random like that. It's proper old school American thing. And this UFO was spotted. The dad went over the hill. He came back and he was slightly changed. And he had this weird like mark on the back of his head, I think it was. And he became this different person almost instantly. And he'd been taken over by these like aliens. And it stuck with me for a long time. So I think back then there was so much fear about UFOs and aliens coming down and taking over the planet that disclosure would never have happened. And that was perfect for the government. Now you've got David Grusch coming out and said, I'm aware of non-human intelligence, non-human biologics. You've got this Jake Barber coming out with psionics and this egg thing and talking about secret access programs, and Lou Elizondo saying about his work at Skinwalker Ranch, and all the stuff that people are coming out with now, Ryan Graves, David Fravor. I think society is better placed for, it's my assumption, that society is better placed now than ever before for the idea that we're not alone. And the US government, like you mentioned, has said that UFOs are real. They come out and said that UFOs are real. And is that non-disclosure just there and then? That's it. Would we not be happy with disclosure if they just said UFOs are real? That's disclosure. We just don't know what they are, but that's it. They're real.
I don't know, and I'm really on two minds with this. It seems to me since, I guess for me, around COVID, since then, the world, or at least our world, kind of UK, USA, is a lot more divided now than it was. it kind of became normal to sort of hate on people and insult and abuse people just for having a different kind of opinion, especially across the internet and social media. Seems that hate, obviously, it's always been there, but it seems to be a lot more just tolerated now. Like you go on any post, particularly at the minute around trans people.
Yeah, I agree.
It's no matter what the story is, it's just full of hate and stupid comments, and that wasn't there a few years ago. That's a very, very recent thing that's been happening, and it's just rampant across all the social media. And it's like, and then the whole, obviously, everything going on with Trump and the COVID kind of anti-vaxxers. It's all a conspiracy to the people that just wanted to protect like the loved ones. It's like this division is there, and it's like, is it a good time for disclosure to happen now? Because we are kind of divided, and we're not going to be able to agree on stuff. You're going to get the side that believes and the side that doesn't believe, and still going to keep that fighting up. Or would it take something like Independence Day style, literal thing where the whole world has to come together to fight these things? I'm not sure.
Ronald Reagan said about that as well. He said the only time we'll be divided is when we're facing a threat from outer space, basically non-human threat. So
maybe that's
who does that help? It doesn't help Putin. It doesn't help Trump. If the world's united, that doesn't help anybody in power. It doesn't help the money system. It doesn't help any of that, because at that point, if the common threat is from off-world, why would there be wars? Why would there be the money train for wars? Would stop. The black projects would stop. All these people making a lot of money, backhanded, selling arms, all that kind of stuff, that would all stop because everybody's just focusing off-world.
Well, would it? Because would it become one bigger market? Because instead of fighting each other, we need to now defend against. Say they come from wherever, Independence Day style, we beat them. But then we know that there could be more out there. Could come back. It could be Independence Day 2 style, which is awful. Why even ruin such a good film? The sequel, that was absolute dog shite. So that money could still be there. It's just obviously not going to have to be against other countries. It's still, but then you still get other countries that are going to still take advantage while they're looking up. We're going to come in the back door. Type situation. I don't know. Is the world ready? Kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, but I think everything that's going on, that has been going on, unless it was an Independence Day style event, I don't think the general population will care.
I agree.
Too much. People have their own shit going on, and still have to go to work. Still need to pay the mortgage. Still got to make an income, look after the kids, do whatever.
Put food on the table.
Yeah, that won't change if aliens are real or not. So I don't know. Is the world ready? I'd say no.
I agree with you. I don't think what point is there in a disclosure? There's no point in it. It will not, like you. I think you put it perfectly there. People got their own shit going on. Who the fuck cares? Unless it means I don't have to work again, and in which case I'll be taking notice. But essentially, if it's not going to change my daily life, people just don't give a shit. They'll probably bury it under some bad news somewhere elsewhere. There's been lots of times.
That USA statement, UFOs are real. That's like April 2020 at the height of the COVID thing.
Yeah,
so it
slip
got
out there.
Yeah. There's something literally world changing happening. Let's just stick this in now, right now.
Yeah.
So it kind of got ignored.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It is mad. And if it doesn't affect the average person, they don't give a shit. Not in a bad way, but
I might have a T-shirt that says "I told you so." That's probably
Yeah,
how my life would change.
yeah. I think I'd be similar type thing. I've even said the government's come out and said that UFOs are real. I used to have conversations with my best mate's mum late at night after we'd all got back from the pub, talking about UFOs and weird shit. And my mates wouldn't believe me, and they'd just go and fall asleep on the sofa. And now I can put my hand up and say, you know what we were talking about when we were 18? And they said 30 years ago. I said, I was right. So I just, I don't. Disclosure. And what is disclosure? What would you accept as disclosure? UFOs are real? Is that disclosure enough for you? I don't know. People just don't believe it anyway. You could come out and say, UFOs are real. They come from future Earth. This is what they fly in now. They communicate via telepathy because we're that advanced, so we don't need to speak anymore. And people will go, well, that's bullshit, isn't it? So we've probably even been told it by the governments somehow. And you go, that's bullshit. Somebody's gone, don't believe it. It's like a photograph of a UFO. If it's too good, you go, that's a bit too fucking good to be a real UFO photo. So how the fuck do you know? Have you ever seen a UFO? No. So how do you know my photo's too good? It's too realistic compared to what? So some people just will not accept the truth anyway. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Cool. So I guess final thoughts on this whole thing.
Yeah. So my thoughts are: it's not adversarial tech, as you probably gathered throughout this episode. Is it about control? Maybe. Is it about us being manipulated to believe that something's there when actually it's our own tech? I don't know. I don't think so. I just think it's a cover-up for the ineptitude of the fact that we haven't got a fucking clue what it is. And for that reason, we can't defend against it. But then I think to myself, why do we need to defend against it? Because there doesn't appear to have been one news story where a UFO has come out of nowhere, taken out a government building, for example, and flown off. There's been no threat. The weirdest thing is that they've turned off our nuclear weapons, and I'd say that's not a threat. That's a pretty good peacekeeping deal. So, I just think I don't even know what to think anymore. I'll be honest.
I think you mentioned there about controlling things, and the way you control people is through fear, and they do it with wars and stuff, and people are scared, and they're going to need to rely on the government, and that's how the government kind of gets trust and stuff.
Yeah.
So, whether the government knows or doesn't know anymore, it's kind of like at the minute over recent years, kind of sort of saying, these things. We're investigating more. We're creating these more groups to study it, to investigate it, to put more money into defence. It's national security risks. So they're basically saying, like, say we don't know what they are. We need to be able to defend against them. That's a fair rationale of things. So people think, okay, I'm happy by government spending my tax money on UFOs, basically, because we need to defend it. So people think they need to have that defence or to learn more about it, and then they've got to kind of go along with it and kind of accept it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's very, like we said a lot on this podcast, our opinions change so much. And over all these different topics, and are they all connected and are they not? It's just it's literally the more you learn, the less you know. It's frustrating and annoying. I'm learning new things all the time. I'm like, fuck's sake, like I don't have the time. I need to learn about this now. I need to go down this rabbit hole. I need to go, I've got psionics, all this shit now. It's like,
yeah,
where it's just hard to know where to go, I think, with it.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that's part of the overall bigger picture, is that keep coming out of all these things that you've got to get your head around. So we just won't ever know the ineptitude. I genuinely think it's got to be somewhere around there.
Yeah.
We can't control the airspace. These things move with impunity. They do what they want, when they want, how they want. They switch off nuclear weapons at missile bases. They fly over restricted airspace without being able to be caught by jet planes. They can instantly move miles at a time. But we see them as a threat. But like I mentioned, not once have they could have attacked David Fravor. They could have attacked those weapon systems that were on these warships and the nuclear weapons. They could have just blown the world up, but they haven't. Yet we still see them as a threat to national security. Well, they're not. Personally, I don't see how they can be, because if they were, they would have done something by now. But so yeah, I don't, like you say, the more I know, the less I know. It's mad. So I think that's a very good place to end the episode there.
Yeah, and I guess whatever happens is we'll just keep talking about it.
Yeah, that's it. And I was chatting to somebody online, and it is quite relevant for this. We were talking about the paranormal and what ghosts were and stuff, and what the paranormal is. And they quite rightly said, until we die, we don't know. And it's almost like the UAP thing. Will we ever know? I don't know. Maybe.
Well, let us know what you guys think. Let us know on social media, in our Facebook group, on TikTok. And we may be going live in a couple of days.
Oh, yes, exciting. Yeah. Looking forward to that. So we've got some new tech to test out as well. So yeah,
keep your eyes on our social medias.
Yeah, more details we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah,
so we won't say where we're going, but
yeah,
if you know us, you know where to find us. You might be able to work out where we might be going on the weekend anyway, just from our association with people. So
yeah,
cool.
Nice one,
Ash. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Pursuit of the Paranormal, title music created by Steve Yarwood and Ambiinfinity. If you like the show, please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X, and Instagram. And if you really like the show, please rate and review the show wherever you are listening. It really does help. See you next time, and until then, stay weird.